got something. There are things on the rails. Did I just murder a civilization of moss? I think I did, unfortunately. I'm really happy today for some reason. Well, I'm always happy. Not happy but joyful. Even when I'm grieving, there's always a tinge of joy there, shining from the bottom of the abyss. It's there and it reaches me, and I'm not sure how it got there or why it's there or if it's my own doing or not, but I'm glad that it exists, because even if it's just little, it's enough to create something or keep me alive. I actually have a list of things I want to discuss, but I only have time for one. So I have to look at this because, can you hear that? Yes. The phone is stable, don't worry. This is an interesting one. The priority. And the keyword for that idea is the waltz. The waltz with the cross. And I was thinking about that earlier. While I was doing my survival job, like always. The good thing about this survival job is that they only rent out my body. It's not like that. Why do I always make things sound like the opposite of what I'm trying to say? No wonder people misunderstand me a lot. But it's not like that. It's they rent my hand. Am I perfectly misunderstood or do I just have a dirty mind? Maybe you can understand me and I just have a dirty mind on some degree, so pardon me, but I'm of legal age to have that kind of branch in my head. So you know how it is, you know how it goes with survival jobs. They just pay you to do, for example, in service industries, they pay you to do the work or serve the food or flip burgers or something. But there are some jobs that require more mental activity than the rest. But fortunately for me, I once had this client that told me, in quite a condescending manner, I may add, if I may add, he was like, "You're lucky you don't have to think in your job." I didn't bother to disagree, because by the tone of his voice, he's pretty much made up his mind. So I'm just like, not visibly like this, but in my head, okay, if you say so. I didn't say that out loud either. I just let him with his, with his judgment, and I just continued what I did. I'm actually, I'm okay with being misunderstood. I have years of training by now. This got longer. I have a lot of energy. Anyway, so the waltz with the cross. You know the how they always say that one must carry his own cross. And I feel like my cross is really, 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 really big. And it has dropped on me way more times than I realize. Because before, for example, when I was 6, I didn't really know that every human has a cross. I just know that it hurts. And I cannot explain why. And maybe when I was 6, the cross, it's big. And maybe the reason why it hurts is that I'm crawling through life because I haven't learned that I have to stand up and balance the cross or drag it or something. So, but then when eventually I got older, the pain never really got lighter or like I mentioned to a friend, I feel like I can get hurt in more ways now than when I was younger. Maybe because I recognize more things or see more what and understand the darker sides of the human nature. Before, when I was a kid, I just get hurt physically or maybe emotionally, but I'm not very aware of why. Pain is just one pain, I guess, when I was a kid. But now that I recognize more or learned more, that's the double-edged sword that comes with learning things, I guess. But yeah, now that I recognize this cross, that I start to think, is the cross the basic human needs? Now, it's not part of the discussion I formulated earlier a bit. This is just an idea that came now from somewhere. Is one part of the cross, does it include the basic human needs? Like eating or having a house? Because a lot of my time is occupied just so I can give myself this. Maybe. Imagine if it's optional. Imagine if eating was optional. It's economically friendly, I think. It's economically, like, it's easier for some, I guess. What am I saying even? I feel like, what am I saying really? Sometimes I hear myself or I listen to myself and I ask myself also, what is this? But I guess you get my point. If eating was optional, maybe I don't have to work as hard. Yeah. And maybe there are people who will be there would be less poverty if eating was optional. Or maybe that's just my own perspective. maybe the expert would say I'm wrong. That's okay also, because I don't know a lot of things about a lot of things, but I like to think about things anyway. But the waltz with the cross, I was thinking how I don't always have to carry the cross. Maybe we can dance together. Like as we go through the years, we can have a waltz. Sometimes I could ask the cross, hey, can I sculpt you? Or not the entirety of you, but just one of your, because the cross is like this, one of your things. Can I turn it into something nice? I have tools. Or can I paint on your like this? Can I write poetry on the side of your, if you don't mind? Like, that would be nice. Is the cross mine, or does it have a life of its own? Is it just my responsibility, or is the cross mine? Because if it's mine, then I'll sculpt it and I'll put some paint, and I'll like, hey cross, I'll give this cross a soul. If it's mine, I'll give a piece of my soul to the cross, and hey, you're alive now and we're friends. Because let's admit it, sometimes being human can be lonely. But then when I look at it from another perspective, loneliness is a blessing. A lot of the things that I got good at is because I was lonely, and I had time to learn things and be curious and explore things. I this just came up out of the depths of my memory. I remember one time, because when I was Belgium, when I was living in Belgium, I was the explorer, the lone explorer, and I went through, even when I was in the Netherlands, every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, I'm always out in the explorations. And there's this one time, I went in a power plant in Charleroi. And this power plant looks like, if I got murdered there, they would not find me for at least a couple of weeks. It's that far from the civilization. I had to walk there to the nearest bus stop. Is not really near. And I have strayed from my point again, but I guess that's my point. If it's really mandatory for every human being to bear the cross, and some people, maybe the cross gets too heavy, they cannot bear it and it kills them, unfortunately. But I guess I got muscular along the way. I guess I got muscular along the way, because the cross, it used to be heavier than me, but now I feel like I can just dance with it when I want. Or maybe I got bigger bones, or I don't know what happened. But there's something that happened that I'm grateful that it did. Because now I gave my cross a soul, and apparently if you give these things a soul, it will not cause you suffering anymore. It's gonna be a part of the creative team. And it can be a friend sometimes. I think I may have given a lot of things a soul. Or maybe people also. The people I met. In my imagination, they all have a soul. And their hearts are always kind. How about you, my dear soil sibling? Do you have a cross? Do you dance with your cross? Or do you let it hurt your back or something? Whatever crosses do when it doesn't have a spirit.